Welcome to CEO Insights. I'm Marilyn de Guzman with investingnews.com. I'm speaking with Grant Haywood, Managing Director and CEO of Horizon Minerals, an emerging gold producer in Western Australia. Good to have you, Grant.
Hi, Marilyn. Great to be with you also.
Yeah. So let's start our conversation with your recent merger with Greenstone Resources. Now that merger has completed, what are the next steps?
Yeah, the key steps for us really are implementing our strategy and fulfilling our project pipeline. So, it's been a bit over a year since we started talks with the Greenstone guys. So it's actually quite nice to complete the deal. We've moved offices. We've got all the teams together now. So we're all in one office and we're getting all the dynamics and the synergies with that. So what that's enabled us to do is to sort of revisit why we thought the merger was a good idea in the first place, and the strategies that we had around that. So it's more about sort of enhancing those strategies and putting action plans in place. So together we've got a large 1.8 million ounce resource base, which we wish to monetize via mining. And we also have a large exploration portfolio that we want to sort of keep filling that project pipeline with assets, because obviously as you mine, you deplete, so you want to replace those resources as we go. So it's really about getting to work and fulfilling that strategy and getting the actions in place to actually deliver on that plan.
So speaking of that, I think you have stated you're pursuing a dual track strategy for this combined assets with Horizon and Greenstone, and you've alluded to that, I think, earlier. Could you provide just a little bit more elaboration on that? What's the plan? Are these, exploration assets? Are these two assets being, worked on, simultaneously? Provide our viewers an elaboration on that.
Yeah, sure. So the strategies of the two companies were quite aligned, and it was about each company had a cornerstone asset and also had a lot of development-ready assets. So the two strands of the strategy is near-term cash flow, and the idea is that we'll develop and mine our assets using existing infrastructure in the region. So we're at a World Gold Province in the Eastern Goldfields of WA. We're surrounded by a plethora of processing facilities. So we're able to leverage off those processing facilities and use contract mining to mine some assets. But we also have aspirations of being a mid-tier gold producer as well. So we need the critical mass to be able to achieve that. So we have our cornerstone assets of Burbanks that come across with the Greenstone side of things, and also Horizon's Boorara assets. So just talking about those a little bit more, those two assets together are more than 50% of our resource base. So they're quite large assets. So the Burbanks asset itself is 466,000 ounces. It's about 5.5 kilometres in strike. It's sort of a narrow, high-grade deposit. And historical mining in that area has been quite prolific. They've mined over 420,000 ounces out of that Burbanks deposit at a grade of 10.9 grams a tonne. So it's quite a high-grade deposit. And only 30% of our resource at the moment is filled into that 500-metre depth. So it's quite shallow still, and we can extend along the strike and the depth of the resource. So it provides a good baseload feed for our mid-tier aspirations. And then we've also got our Boorara asset as well, which is 450,000 ounces. It's 2 kilometres along strike. It's only a 15-minute drive from Kalgoorlie, so it's very close to existing infrastructure. It too, the resource only goes to 200 metres depth, but we've got holes to 700 metres depth, which show that resource, really, really goes quite deep, and we can also extend that along strike as well. So these two key assets are the things that can underpin a long life project for us. But in the short term, our plan is to monetize some in-ground assets and generate some cash flow for the business in the short term.
So that in that production front, you're expected to begin gold production by the second half of 2024. With the current strong gold price environment, what are your projections?
Yeah, the gold price is very strong, both in US and Aussie dollar terms. So we love to make hay while the sun shines. We're fortunate that we do have a lot of development ready assets. Many of them are approved. and a lot of them are advanced. So, as I mentioned before, there's existing infrastructure in the region that we can utilise. And Kalgoorlie is a fantastic mining address. You know, you've got access to a lot of infrastructure and contract mining companies and those sorts of things. So the aim is to get some contract mining people in place to do some open pit and underground developments for us, and then utilise some agreements to process it all. So we've got 2 agreements in place at the moment. So we've got a 1.4 million tonne per annum ore purchase agreement with Paddington, which is owned by Norton Goldfields. So that's only 55 kilometres from our Boorara project, and that allocation is Boorara specific. So we're looking at starting mining in the September quarter and gold production before Christmas. So that's looking quite positive. We also have a 200,000 tonne coal milling agreement that we have with FMR Investments. So that's through their Greenfields plant, which is near Coolgardie. So that allocation isn't all specific, so we can pick our own project which we want to put through that processing plant. So we've been working through our Cannon Underground project. So it's a project that's about 30 k's through a east of Kalgoorlie. It's an existing open pit with an underground development below it. So we've built a pipeline, and we're currently dewatering that open pit at the moment, which will expose the underground portal position. So that's one that we can turn on and put through that allocation we've got with FMR. The other project we're looking at is the Phillips Fine project. So this is one of the assets that come over with the Greenstone merger. So there's 3 existing pits there, and there's 2 open pits that are quite lucrative if we cut those back. So there's a good opportunity that we could also put the Phillips Fines ore through that the processing agreement. So going forward, you know, in the next year, we've got 2 processing agreements. We'll start mining in this half and start filling those mills. So starting to generate gold bars and generate cash for the business. And what we want to do is also fill that project pipeline that I mentioned earlier, so that we can be at sustainable production beyond this next year and continue mining for the years to come.
Can you also provide some overview of your other exploration assets and the plans for those moving forward?
Yeah, I can. You know, we've got a very large, extensive brownfields exploration package. So we've got 939 square kilometres of tenure in the Eastern Goldfields of Western Australia. So, as I mentioned before, it's a premier gold mining address. A lot of our tenure is on key geological structures. So it's in good gold country. We've also already got a resource book of some 19 projects that have got resources on them, and looking to fill that development project pipeline. So, talking about a few of the other assets we're looking at. We've got our Penny Spine Underground project, which is 45 kilometres sort of northeast of Kalgoorlie. That's undergoing a PFS at the moment. We've got our Kalpini project, which is only 10 kilometres from Penny Spine. We're doing an ore reserve study on that project at the moment. So what we're aiming to do is just keep that project pipeline full, and keep the exploration drills drilling to keep it going. So that's a bit on our gold business, but we're also a multi-commodity company as well. So we've got a 50% joint venture with the Mount Thirsty project, which is near Norsville, and it's a nickel, cobalt, manganese project. And we also have our 100% owned Nimbus project, which is adjacent to Boorara, so only 15 minutes drive from Kalgoorlie, and it's got 20 million ounces of silver, 104,000 tonnes of zinc and 78,000 tonnes of gold. And we look forward to putting some more holes in Nimbus sort of in the next 6 to 12 months to extend that project and bring it forward as well.
And on the business front, so you've just you've completed the transaction with Greenstone. Are you looking at other opportunities for mergers and acquisitions over the short or the long term?
Yeah, we are. You know, probably on the longer term horizon, we've made no secret we want to be an emerging mid-tier producer. We've got some critical mass with the cornerstone assets, and you know, we'd love to build or buy our own plant, but we know we need to crawl before we walk or walk before we run. So, you know, we think through our near-term development of some assets, we can bring some cash into the business, build a bit of a war chest, and that'll allow us to pull the trigger on a larger development opportunity, either a larger underground project potentially, or buy our own mill or build our own plant. So that's probably our longer term aspirations. But we've got a fair history of doing deals. In the last 12 months alone, we've turned over some of our ground. So we had some non-core assets that we divested out. So we sold 62 tenants to Northern Star Resources. We did 2 option agreements, one with Dundas Minerals and one with Metalbulk. So if we've got non-core assets that are not really a strong focus with us, we'd rather put those assets into other companies that will actually do something with those projects. But we've also been accretive ourselves. We've purchased and acquired our Penny Spine project, our Calpini project, and our Cannon project. So we're looking at a number of assets now as we speak. We're always looking to improve our portfolio and ultimately the returns we can generate for our shareholders.
Well, looking forward to seeing some news on that when it materializes. Thanks, Grant, for joining me today and sharing some updates about your company.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks, Marilyn.
And thanks everyone for watching. Join us again next time for another edition of CEO Insights. If you like this video, like or leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exclusive interviews and updates.